And we are live.
Hey. I miss Liz doing the thing and she doesn't make the shape. Anyway, hey everybody. This is Rolling Deez 20's Trauma Team Chronicles, a Cyberpunk Red campaign. We are
I totally didn't update the episode, so let me get to doing that while
we're going to update the episode. And today we're not playing. We've got a couple people who are out. Liz and Ivy are getting ready for the holidays at home. And so we figured we'd just have a little discussion, talk about where we're at with the campaign, talk about the game, and whatever else comes to our heads, because we will probably stray at some point. And as always, we do not go gentle into that good Roll20 spotlight. All parties should rave and burn at the end of day. Dylan Thomas poem, Google it. That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's just the night, at the night. It's not at the end of the day. It's at the night.
I may not know about the space program, but I know the words of that poem. I'm telling you. It's dead. But anyway, so we're going to talk about our game and just have a little chat. I don't know if people are watching, but if you are, you can throw some questions at people, do all that kind of stuff. And how about we just start with our intros and
toss a coin to your Twitcher.
Introduce yourself and introduce your character, and we'll take it from there. Let's start with Juice.
Hello. Oh wait, how is it? Oh, hello. I am Juice. No pronouns, just Juice. During our Cyberpunk actual plays, I play Redacted, our net runner, who might not sound like that anymore after getting their windpipe crushed.
That is true. Prince.
Hey everybody, I'm Prince, aka Doubles of Dice around the interwebs, and I play Andre, big sexy guy. You're not so good at Trauma Team, but maybe deep inside, a hero. Rocker boy.
Not a coward, a hero. That's right.
Traumatized Trauma Team member.
I mean,
a TTTC.
Ooh.
And Theta.
Hi, I'm Theta. I play Nara Huang. Sorry, that took a second for my brain to catch up there. I play Nara Huang, the doctor, who is tired and actually not bad at Trauma Team because, you know, that includes healing people, and that's the only thing she's actually good at.
I feel
Dealing
their
damage,
souls through
healing,
music.
yes.
I feel their souls right down to the body, into their core.
Yeah, but souls doesn't get bullet.
You know what?
Take
You
care of bullet
can't
wounds.
heal if they're dead. Their souls, because the souls aren't there anymore.
Shang Tsung said, "Your soul is mine." Never mind, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to Google Stevie Wonder and I was saying that, but anyway, so yeah, so Cyberpunk Red.
I didn't get that either, Theta.
Anyway, so yeah, we've been playing Cyberpunk Red. I think tonight would have been our 19th session. And if you don't know Cyberpunk Red, well, you probably know Cyberpunk Red. But when I started wanting to start running it, I was all about Trauma Team. And the thing that inspired me coming up with the idea was in the original, or in the Cyberpunk 2020 book, there's like a fake, a media goes on a day in the life sort of thing with a trauma team. And it does one whole night and it goes through different calls. And some of those calls we did very early on when we first started the game. I just converted just like a little paragraph on this thing and then just turned it into a whole little screen sheet. So that was a big inspiration. Having a group where you could kind of do it episodic, run around, and then starting to build like an overarching story or have all these bigger things that are happening. The thing that's also fun about Cyberpunk is that, you know, unlike games like D&D and Vampire, the other game we play, I think Cyberpunk is very similar, where like your party is always under it. Your party's always like doesn't know completely what's going on. Someone else is always bigger. Someone else has better guns. Someone else has more money. It's like, you know, your crew has to always have that feeling. So I've been trying to like put those two things together, episodic, overarching things, but making you guys feel like any deal you take is not going to be a good one. Yeah, so let's talk about you guys as like early impressions of the game jumping in, and yeah, what you think about those concepts like that. Free for all, whoever wants. Theta.
You better pick somebody.
Well, did you all start at the same time, or is Dre the OG?
We
No,
all
we started at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I was brought on for this one.
Yep.
I think the first thing was just immense confusion because I, as a terrible person, have a tendency to never read the text of a game I am playing until I'm playing it. Prince is like, what's going on there? Yeah, so I was really confused. I was like, okay, there's stats, I roll some things, cool, let's go, I suppose. It was fun though. It felt going in when I looked at the initial weapon I had got, like, oh wow, I can do a lot of damage. There were also like other things here and there I remember being confused by, namely, I think stats, to some extent. I was just confused a lot of the time, let's be honest here. I am a generally confused person, but I liked the system going in. I do know that. I thought it was kind of fun. That it was always kind of like you come in feeling like you're powerful if you're used to playing lower level D&D, which is a lot of what I've played, where you cannot deal any fucking damage, and then it was like, I can deal 5d6 if I hit. I never hit, but like if I did, that was really nice going in.
Yeah, and I think I remember early on too, where you guys had a mission where you a mafioso gave you guys a job to make sure a politician dies, make sure that he does not survive the poisoning that he received. And Nara, Dr. Huang, decided to get a little drunk at this party and had a little trouble trying to help the dude out, which was a moment that I really enjoyed, which is like the other part. Like, yeah, you got all the stats, you got all the guns, yada, yada, but yeah.
I think jumping into Cyberpunk I was really excited about it because I had never, played Cyberpunk. And I think both me and you, Mikey Mike, had just finished Cyberpunk 2077 when we were talking about this. Yeah, so we were like really jacked up about playing this game. Like it was one of those things that was on our minds. And I go into this book and I'm reading this extremely dense book because the Cyberpunk book has like 400 fucking pages plus. It's something like that. It's a thick boy.
You also have to like jump around referencing other bits because they don't always put it congruently.
440 pages. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 400 plus pages. And I read through
with
all
447th Cs.
I feel like the book is not to cut off. Finish your point, Prince.
Well, I would say this book is well laid out only because it gives, if you get to the end of a part of your particular character or class, it tells you where to go next for it. So like if your powers are somewhere else, it tells you go to page XYZ and you go there and then it has the thing for your character class. So I didn't find it too hard to follow, though I will say this, if you look at Dre's stats, I definitely did the cookie cutter builds because I was overwhelmed and I was doing a lot of games at the time. And wait, I'm still doing overwhelmed and doing a lot of games at this time. But I've enjoyed all of this. It's been very, very interesting. And I think the breadth of skills in this game really excites me, even though it's a lot to go through. There's a ton of them that help you really define your character for RP purposes, I think.
Oh, for sure. And it's one of those things where there's a lot, but you know what your character wants to do. So you don't even have to really take in all of them. You just have to know what your character wants to do and you will find it there. And yeah, I think the book is very well laid out. My one complaint is the roles being so far away from character creation. That's really my one big thing. But it's not like, Vampire the Masquerade's book, but I won't talk about that.
They've relayed that book out 4 times. 4 times now? 4. I was like 3, 4, no, 4 times.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think that your character too, Big Sexy, is just really captures the world. Maybe playing the game too, you really understood like the vibe and like the feeling. You want to talk about Big Sexy? inspiration, yada yada yada. We're big, and yeah, start from there.
Ooh, that's a question. Because, all right, so
And I might ask all of you guys about do that with all your characters.
the inspiration for Big Sexy was like really just a fucking random concept off the top of my mind. I was like, if I was to do cyberpunk, what would be my character that was not like my character from 2077? Because that's a whole complicated mess with Keanu Reeves being stuck in my mind. But I was like, I will absolutely play a rocker
That was the
boy.
game.
A rocker boy seems super interesting to me. And I was like, well, I can't be a regular rocker boy. I was like, I gotta have a every time I make a character in any game, in any system, they have a flaw. Something that is like, I won't say wrong with them, but something that makes them complex. Like Dre's complexity was he's an incredibly selfish person. And not because he was like, I was born to you look out for number one, but because of like growing up in a really tough neighborhood with a hard family, and he was like, I'm not gonna take any shortcuts. And I guess to an extent, it was sort of inspired by Kanye, but not entirely.
Okay.
Because if you listen to Kanye's backstory, and I'm not saying you should, Kanye has problems, but like Kanye came from not a rich family or something like that, but his mom was sort of a freedom fighter and so on and so forth. And instead, my character came out of that whole thing like, well, fuck that. I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna get mine and get to the end. But I'm not gonna fuck other people over while I do it. And when I started rolling for stats and stuff, and the dice showed like, you have rivals and stuff like that, I was like, well, wouldn't it be interesting to have a family member who is like, I want to be selfish too, but I'm gonna get mine the opposite way. I will sell out anything and everyone to get there. And so I was like, I feel like that has a great push pull to keep my character interesting, and also like piss off my party members and give me a redemption arc, because who doesn't love a redemption arc in a story? Like, maybe I won't be selfish forever. Maybe, just maybe, I'll go and save my friends. And that was really it. It was like, I love stories where the character is not necessarily a good character, has good aspects to them. Those always interest me.
Yeah. I like that, and very well rounded. And like, yeah, that's a part of the cyberpunk creation system of like, it gives you so much to work on and build on. Traveler system is very similar, and the Star Trek Adventures is also very similar, where you roll the whole past history of your characters.
You should play that.
Star Trek Adventures. I would play it. I've played it a couple times. I've never run it, but I would.
I have never played it, and I would absolutely kill. I would murder someone to play it.
Damn.
I would commit
Wow.
homicide.
Wow, homie. Wow.
Okay.
Whoa.
Slow down.
I love space.
Pre-stream, we were
Space
talking
spaceship.
about editing our content for YouTube.
That's right.
Space abode. Space.
Yeah, and your character too, like with Big Sexy, like also brought in like his sister, and who is a manager, who is a corpo who works with musicians and works with other acts, and is a little bit shady about what she does. So it kind of comes from a similar place, but will hurt anybody to get it done. Doesn't even care. And then we have other rocker boys in our crew, in our game, including Betty Brooklyn, who is a stand-in for the kind of late 90s teen pop stars of the day. You take your pick, who is willing to sacrifice herself for whatever she wants, and seeing how that plays out and how people take advantage of that. And so using that sort of themes and able to bring into the cyberpunk world. I think the last time you saw Betty Brooklyn, she was physically being controlled. Her cyber limbs were being controlled by her corporate manager. It's like that representation. So it's kind of fun that the game can bring in things like that.
Makes me wonder what her humanity.
Come again, say what?
I was saying makes me kind of wonder what her humanity index would be then, because the more cybernetics you get, like the lower your humanity goes. So
It's a
like,
wonderful question, because I've been thinking about that since that episode of the season. Like, how low is her
how
ratings?
low is her fucking humanity?
Yeah.
I mean, I think somebody has her number. I forget which one of y'all has her phone number.
True.
It might be Hero, Liz's
I-
character.
I think it's Hero because they had the whole thing.
Yeah, because
Right.
Dre tried to save her by stealing the show. And that was definitely not about her.
Stole the drugs.
Well, he didn't want to be on the stage because his sister was the one running that show. This was all bad for Dre, but he felt bad for Betty Brooklyn.
That's kind of
seemed like
where
a nice
all-
person.
Yeah. I'll say that's where I feel like, at least since I've been involved, that's kind of, for me, it felt like the turning point for Dre, like this arc that Dre's in now. I felt like that was a very defining moment for that. Like, you took charge. I think you had some contact with her before that,
Yeah.
but then you chose to make that decision to kind of, get on that stage. And since then, it was like that was like the moment your sister was waiting for to exploit you.
Yup. It was. And that was well played from Mikey Mike. I will give you that. That was a well played move there, because you put me in that situation where, yeah, I think you had a feeling I was going to try to do something. And then, yeah.
You're putty in her hands after that.
That was one of good storyteller. I approve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop it. That was one of those times. That was one of those rare instances where I took a guess at what I thought the players would do, and you guys kind of did it. The two things that threw me off most were Redacted getting drunk and dancing, and I'm sorry, dancing poorly, and Hero throwing Betty Brooklyn's body into a freezer and trying to control the cyberlimbs. Those two.
Not just dancing poorly, but critical failure. I think I got a crit fail on that skill check.
Yeah,
it was bad.
I was ready to bust out some Britney Spears choreography right then and there, and nope, the dice were like,
"You drunk." Why don't you tell us about your character, Jeez?
Okay. So Redacted is the newest member to join the trauma team. Redacted. So my inspiration for Redacted was I had heard among the group in observing our Discord thread around trauma team that there was an interest in having a netrunner. And I was already thinking about doing some kind of like, what could the rogue equivalent in Cyberpunk be? And I was thinking, like, how much more stealthy could someone be than like pulling shit off in this alternate realm of net space? So it's like that to me, like the skulking in the shadows was the equivalent of building this character that's like literally skulking through the net space and helping in other ways with a different skill set in literally a different realm. Aesthetically, I made some choices for Redacted that were honestly and earnestly I just thought they were like fun and cool. I did not think that I was going to be assumed to be a stripper from the jump. The aesthetics for Redacted are actually modeled off of a D&D character that I didn't get to play for very long, but was like a really dope character in my head. And I kind of took it in that direction. It was supposed to be like like Lara Croft in a different form of body, outside of being like a cis woman. And that's kind of where I took it, and drew some inspiration from, being sneaky, but also with the roles that I got with my character and like where they were from and all that. I was like, oh, this already went off in a wild direction. But yeah, I wanted to do a hacker kind of character, but I also wanted to do a character that their means of hacking was through like film, which is why I have this like media component to me. So like in D&D you flavor spells, and in Vampire you have the powers that you get that you can kind of, some are more rigid than others with their descriptions. And I was like, okay, well that could be my thing. Like I'm filming a lot of stuff, but then I could use that as an avenue to get into these net space. It didn't really play out that way in game, but I still liked that I have that tie to the media, because I liked the idea of finding a way to plug myself into the group that's not just like, oh, by the way, here's this new hire and they're joining your team, but here's someone who is kind of running around and filming your exploits, for on behalf of who knows.
I liked playing off of that, honestly. I loved that aspect of your character for sure.
Which aspect?
I thought it
the
was
film?
such a
The filming, yeah, because
I thought it was such a nice, clean introduction, especially since we had just done some serious shit at that point.
Exactly.
So, it was a really smooth introduction.
Yeah, it really helped you to easily integrate into the group and everything. I loved it. Like, and again, I thought like if no one else in the game, like Dre would be like, "Yo, hey, come here."
Yeah,
like you're literally independent media as far as I care. So give me some of this fame. I'm happy to ride this wave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I really liked when you came up with that idea and the comp. The trauma team before then had already lost one captain and was not doing very well with the other captain that they had. I wouldn't say that you guys lost that captain. I mean, you kind of mucked around with the Russians a bit.
I tried to save him.
But basically, for anyone who missed it, I forget what you guys were talking to him about, but some Russians.
We were talking to him about gold. Actually, that's what's interesting. We were talking to him about Golden Child, how he was called that, and then I specifically was asking him questions about all the Netrunners' brains that were fried. And how they were apparently all reporting to him. And then we were asking a bunch of questions about that and his connections to these other people. And then the Russian twins came in.
Right. So just for a slight recap, yeah, there in our version of Night City, there are a bunch of Netrunners who are getting brain fried, showing up dead, and Trauma Team was kind of got pulled into that on some of the calls that they got, and found that people had messages or Trauma Team cards that said contact GC or contact the Golden Child, which was the former captain's nickname during the war. And when they went to go talk to him about it, a pair of Russian mercenaries came in and shot up the room, and not even shot up the room. They just shot him up.
They just shot him. They shot him.
They did. They just shot his ass up. Yeah.
They didn't even try and kill us.
This is also the first I am learning about this.
Because Dre was right in front of this, and I was like, "Oh, it's my boo! That's my girl. She here."
Well, they were originally worked for the city manager that Trauma Team was supposed to make sure died, which they did when Maverick the Solo shot him in the head when Trauma Team showed up in case the poison
was indeed a thing that happened.
Maverick was captured, and the two they were known as the Soviet sisters or the Soviet twins in the combat zone. They just walked to the Trauma Team headquarters and were able to kill the captain. And Juice, when you came on and we started working on Redacted, remember we built the character together, and then we did a session, just you and me, off stream. And the place that you went to was the city manager's house. So you were there after the city manager.
I accidentally broke y'all meeting up by accident when y'all were doing that. I jumped into it, and then I ended meeting for all by accident. I remember that.
Yeah, that's right. But just to give you a scope of where you came in, so like they were working, the group was working around Netrunners being burned. Someone that Maverick knew, or people knew from the war, had been killed. Maverick found out that people had brain dances that were connected to specific memories that he has. Maverick is our solo. And so that was what I had you do, given that one to you. So you were going into the house after all that had been taken care of, but Mr. Kelly was there. And so you got spooked and got what you could and got the hell out of there. Mr. Kelly was also investigating this. And so you come in right after this, brand new captain. The crew was on TV pulling off some rescues at an amusement park. And so, you know, trauma teams in this time period in 2045, trauma team is kind of, you know, not doing great. They're not as great as they were in 2020. Everyone's broke. So they're kind of like, we could use all the press we can get. And this team is hot. You know, people know them. They see them rescuing people. We're going to get a camera in there. So it just was like very smooth to bring Redacted in.
And to add one last thing, like the might as well give, I'm not gonna give too much, but there have been a lot of responses and reactions to Redacted's moniker, both from the PCs and from NPCs in the world, and that kind of goes back to this, like the intent behind it, like being kind of sneaky, like roguelike, of, you know, to lead, I guess, contributing to the confusion, like, is this person's name redacted, or if are they leaving something behind that has been redacted, to kind of, you know, throw some of that confusion out there, but also beg the question of like, okay, well then who is redacted really behind that, which, you know, can be left to explore in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something I'm working on now. Is like, you know, the next phase is I'm messing around with people's backgrounds and diving into that more. So that's going to be the next phase of what's happening in the game for sure. And I think that, you know, I like, one of the other things I like about the character creation system in Cyberpunk Red is that it gets everybody just jazzed for like being part of the process of creating, you know, we're storytelling together, right? But like helping to build those backgrounds together and do all that kind of stuff. Liz, who plays Hero, our nomad, you know, is able to talk to her and like build up, you know, there are nomad clans in the book where it's like, what's your nomad clan? Let's do this, you know, and able to just kind of build that up together. So like, I've got plans to start that process with you guys. Prince?
I got a question for you though. Like, as we've been going through this, has there been anything that's really thrown you for a loop that's made it more difficult for you to run the story?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. There are two things that come to mind. Two big things that come to mind. The first one was, and the first one was actually at the city manager's place, where you guys all left Maverick behind in a room that was filled with turrets, a deadly Soviet mercenary, police on their way. And Maverick, played by Ivy, was like not leaving and just fighting and fighting. And I was just like, it was maybe our sixth session or something like that.
It was fairly early.
It's fairly early on, and I kept saying to Ivy, like, you're all alone. Maybe you could move. There's no attack of opportunity in this game, you know. And that
makes so much sense now.
I was straight up a coward in that episode. I wanted y'all to know. I was like, let me set you up, and then I'm a whoop.
I remember on the after bit, like after I think we had left the call, you said like you might need to think about making a new character to Ivy at that time. Yeah. I remember that distinctly though.
Yeah, like, and it was,
I don't know if you'll survive.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I was just like, Maverick could die. And it's so early, I'm like, I want to do something else with it. And so I actually I want to make it spoiler free, but I will say that the solution that I came up with, I borrowed from Call of Cthulhu. I took a mechanic from Call of Cthulhu.
I know where you're at now.
And
anyone who's looked at Call of Cthulhu would have a good idea where this is. Yep.
And we haven't. I actually gave Maverick a few little seeds, but Maverick hasn't grabbed at any of them yet. But that's what's going on. That's what I decided to do with Maverick in that instance. But that threw me very hard. And it's also my first time dealing with like, oh my God, one of these characters might not make it 5 episodes in. And then the second one, without a doubt, happened very recently, where with Mr. Kelly. And so Mr. Kelly, a four-armed individual who has two people that he controls somehow, who he calls his vassals, they happen to be the parents of our nomad. And he offered the party a job for an exorbitant amount of money. The only hitch was they would not have any memory of the job. They were not allowed to have any memory of the job. And he gave you guys a couple of days to come back with a decision. And I really thought that you guys were going to do the gig. And even though Big Sexy was not about it, I had plans for that. And so I had also started working on, I know what he wanted you all to do. So I had it planned. I won't say what it was just in case I can rejigger it for something else. But so I had planned all this stuff out. And so it was funny to me while we're playing, and all of the party goes to his warehouse, goes into the room where he's going to start the procedure of like wiping the memories. And then Liz is like, nope, fuck you. And then you call your sister and get the backup, which I didn't see coming. And I was just like, okay, this is all like...
Honestly, I want you to know that up until the point that happened, I didn't see that coming either. Okay. It was literally like, I couldn't think of who else Dre could call. And I was like, what the fuck do I do here? And I'm like, I actually care about these people. Why do I care about these people? I'm about to do something really fucking dumb.
Were you that touched by my memory chip?
It was a bunch of things, honestly. It was the connections that
I'm just
he
being
built.
sarcastic.
I know, but I think Dre really likes Redacted, even though he doesn't know Redacted's real name. Because no one's named Redacted. Let's be real here. But it was.
I do not.
It was so tough.
Some weird tech bro has named their child Redacted.
Oh my god! Stop there.
I do not doubt that. For
I don't either now, but I wish you wouldn't have said that because now it's stuck.
Yeah, I think for the most part the party likes each other. It seems to me. I know that Maverick and Dre had some friction for a while. I think Maverick really likes Redacted.
After that letter.
I mean, Redacted noticed that Maverick was staring respectfully, which is why I wrote in that letter that I would like to take you to dinner respectfully.
I love that interaction, by the way. That was so good.
Adorable.
I was like, how can you be at the not at the table and still running shit, Juice? I see you. I see what you're doing here.
I was like, I can't be there, but I don't want you to feel like I've forgotten about you, and also like that's my thing. I'm gonna, plant a little seed that's role playing without necessarily needing to be at the table.
I really loved the end of our last session a lot, where we had the whole fight go down. We had the action fighting Mr. Kelly and his vassals and all that stuff, and then we ended with two people sitting on a rock in the desert staring at the stars, and two siblings like listening to music and drinking a beer trying to fix a relationship. That's also the other part of the world. There's a lot of
family and relationships going on there in that little end bit.
Yeah, I forget why I think it was close to Thanksgiving, so I was trying to I mean, I didn't see the relationship stuff with Mav and stuff going on, but I was like working on like a Thanksgiving-y kind of
vibe.
There was going to be a tofurkey. I had plans for a tofurkey.
Oh, gross.
No. Why?
Because it's the dark future. Like, it's not easy to get meat like that.
No, tofu is delicious. A tofurkey is the bastardization of a perfectly good thing that you could eat by itself.
I thought, like, if you went to turducken, I'd have been with you. But tofurkey, nah.
I love duck.
So that's what I was like. I heard tofurkey, but like it's weird. Like I heard tofurkey, but I thought turducken. So I thought you were talking about turducken, and I was like, oh, okay.
No, that's where my mind went first, and then I was like, nope, that's not where we are. We went to hell.
It is the bastardization
We
of
went to
tofu,
hell,
which
and
is
I don't like this.
delicious.
Ain't nothing wrong with a tofurkey. Tofurducken, though.
Oh.
So wait,
You're welcome.
No,
You're welcome.
Nope,
welcome,
don't like that. Don't like that.
Tofu turkey, tofu chicken, tofu duckin.
Yeah, a tofucking.
Tofucking. This is how stuff
Disgusting.
is canon.
So,
Foul.
but technically, though, Prince, wouldn't a tofucking, would that be a sandwich?
Yes, it is a sandwich.
That's
It's a
not fair.
sandwich.
I don't think it's a sandwich so
It's
much as
totally
just
a sandwich.
It's a dumpling. I think it's a dumpling.
A
No,
dumpling is just a
dumplings have to have,
sandwich
like,
subcategory.
Dumplings,
I'm learning so
dumplings
much.
need to have like their dumpling outside.
Yeah, but dumplings
Welcome.
could be made of meat outside. You could use like lamb skin. So if
What
you
sort of
use
fucking dumplings are you eating?
well, I mean, technically haggis is a dumpling.
Right, isn't
Haggis
sausage-
should not
sausage
be
is
counted
technically
as
a dumpling?
because haggis is a fucking abomination.
Whoa. I've had good
Hold
haggis.
up. Hold
Take it
up.
easy.
Now that you want to slow down on that one, partner.
Easy.
It should not be a dumpling. It is putting disrespect on the beautifulness that is a dumpling.
Put some
Because
respect
I-
on Haggis's name.
Dumplings are delicious.
No, I hear what Data's saying.
Xiaolongbao?
There's also like many connotations
Xiaolongbao.
with the significance of dumplings. Yeah.
Dumps or
Soup
dumps?
dumplings.
Uh,
I'm not
Look
putting
at where we
haggis
are
and
and
soup
how we got
dumplings in the
here.
same
So
category.
if I could rate it back a little bit. So that going back to you said the interaction of when I wasn't at the table, that was also my way as a player of figuring out like, okay, I'm not around. So let me try and plant these seeds because Redacted was already in this very emo place of like, I almost died and why am I doing this for these people? Like a lot of that, like very melodramatic stuff, right? And also, well, let me see what can I do to try and ingratiate myself to these folks and like extend either not like an olive branch for peace, but be like, well, you also have to contribute to this, right? Like it's not just a one-way relationship. So what can you do to try and start building relationships with these people from your side, so that at least you can say that you've tried? And so that's why I sent those messages to Mikey Mike and be like, hey, I'd like to at least be able to do this, even though I'm not there, just to kind of like start building these threads and see what happens from them.
I love that. And
Yeah.
and just for people who missed it, after Redacted ended up in the hospital after getting their windpipe crushed, and you were out for this week. But in game, the Redacted is dealing with all these emotions, but left all these gifts for each character, each other person in the team, which I loved so much. And it was fun having everyone show up to work. You guys hadn't been to work for a couple of days too, and open your lockers and find these gifts and being able to send them to everybody individually. Yeah, I thought that was a great idea. And
Even
a good place
Jen.
to take Redacted.
Even Jin, which I was going to say right before we popped on stream, like if there were to be a TPK, I would want Jin to be the sole survivor.
Yes. To tell a tale.
Jen? Fucking Jen? What?
I love it.
Actually, if there were to be a TPK, you know who I would want to be the sole survivor, and I'm going to apologize about this to everyone else. Kaylee.
I was no, but see, at least Jin is like
Really is.
sort of one of the homies. Like Kaylee, fuck Kaylee. Fuck Kaylee.
Is rude as fuck, but I respect the fact that Kaylee is also just rude as fuck and knows the power she has in a completely absurd way.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure 90%, like it's no, not 9, a pretty steady 75% of Dre and Prince's animosity towards Kaylee is potentially just her voice.
I mean,
But
like, what's wrong with Kaylee's voice? She doesn't do your fucking job. I mean,
Nope.
Kaylee did save y'all's asses one time, and
Kaylee showed up, just shot a bunch of people in the head
With a
and
big
then
old
left.
shotgun.
It was like
Yeah.
amazing.
That wasn't about us.
what do you mean it
That
wasn't
wasn't
about
about us.
y'all?
That was literally us rescuing Maverick.
Yeah.
Who had already been saved and hadn't called you guys.
This is true.
But
That was also Maverick's own fault. Like I take no credit for Maverick fucking that all up. None. Absolutely not.
I mean, you just instigated a fight with a Russian mercenary and walked away.
I didn't instigate a fight. The Russian mercenary was being quite rude, and I was being rather gentlemanly, all things considered.
Oh, I didn't know that. Misread that situation. But no, I would much prefer Jin to live. I like the image. Jin is another pilot at the Trauma Team, who likes to drink a lot. And I would imagine that, you know, him at the Broken Arms, where all the Trauma Team members hang out after work and drink their beers, and someone buying him a smash and saying like, yeah, you know, tell the story one more time, Jin. All right, I'll tell it one more time, you know. But yeah, let's, why don't we take a little 10-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about where we are right now currently in the game, what's happening towards the end of the game, and where we think we see the game going, see our characters going, and
That's
talk more about
actually
how much we love our referee and how he's so benevolent and wonderful and good looking, and sings Boys to Men very well. Whatever you do, whatever you want to say, we'll think about it. But we'll be back at 5 to 10. So stay hydrated. Go to the bathroom. Yada yada yada. We'll be right back.
Yada yada yada. Yada daddy. We rocks the party or whatever. We'll be back. Peace.
Yeah,
And we're live again.
Hey, we're back. You're checking out Rolling These 20's Trauma Team Chronicles, Cyberpunk Red game. And it's just some of the party chatting, talking about the state of our game, state of the world. Yeah, we're just chilling. Where were we picking up? We were talking about our characters, the state of the game in the past. And then I guess now let's pick up where we were talking about off stream, where we're talking about our goals for next year. And one of my New Year's resolutions is to, I do a lot of solo role playing. So I want to start podcasting, maybe streaming that if I get the gumption, but like putting that out there, like showing how people can solo role play and how much joy and love I get out of it.
I mean, I convinced my entire group that is running Hades High and now Camp Half-Blood to pick up 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. So literally all of us have 1,000-Year-Old Vampire right now. We're running it together. Not together as a group, but like all of us are running our solo games of 1,000.
That's cool.
Are they connected in some way or just?
No, we're just
Yeah,
all
yeah.
So
just
they're
talking
like-
about our games and how we're chronicling them and what happens to our characters.
Nice.
I like that.
That
Yeah, I
could be
did one
fun.
of those. I did one of those, and like the start was funny because I was like, okay, I'm gonna start in like the Benin dynasty in West Africa, and then I had spent just 2 hours just like Googling and looking up stuff about it, because 1,000 years goes far back, and I know a lot about it. But
It was
I think it's a fun part
honestly
of the game.
hard to figure out where to start 1,000 years ago. Like,
Mhm.
500 years ago is easier. 300 years ago is even easier. 1,000 years ago is like.
Exactly.
Anyway, continue.
1,000 years ago. Yeah.
But that's a fun game and a beautiful book.
1,000 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful book.
Yeah.
Beautiful book.
I'm thinking about getting back into streaming. I streamed like very intermittently over the summer this past year, and just never really got consistent with it. So maybe I'll get back into it. Who knows? Maybe I don't know what I would stream. I still haven't figured out how to effectively set up my capture card for my Switch because that's the only console that I have at the moment, and I have a Mac, so I don't really play a lot of PC games. But one of my other resolutions is to actually get a gaming PC for this upcoming year, so maybe that will help me shift back into doing that. But speaking of solo gaming, Mikey, Mike, because you still or used to read choose your own adventure books, right? On your Facebook?
Yeah. Yep.
So when you all were talking about the character creation process for Cyberpunk, all I kept on thinking about was like as Prince mentioned, all of those arrows and like go to this page for like to continue this and that. I was like, I felt like character creation was very much a choose your own adventure
Yes.
book for Cyberpunk.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that must be part of why I love it so much. But I think it's just, they're plot hooks and like story sparks, it makes you really give your character like they feel more alive in that way, and it's also tricking you, like you're actually playing the game already and don't even know it,
Yep.
which I also enjoy.
Yeah, it would be easier for me to follow if I had a physical copy of the book. I'm very much I'm the proponent of like physical copies over digital copies if I have to constantly be flipping back and forth between like reference pages and stuff. So it would be easier. I think character creation and understanding the rules and how net running stuff tracks across the book would make more sense to me if I had a physical copy.
Sure.
But I do also like the fact that it has this little stick that feels like a choose your own adventure book, because I remember those from not just like Goosebumps, but also some like Animorphs choose your own adventure books from way back in the day. Yeah.
Oh, Animorphs! It was so weird. I wonder what they read like as an adult, because I think
I-
it barely made
so-
sense as a kid.
So
I am
wait, can we-
rereading them. You can get them all on EPUB right now. They literally release them all for free. There's a Reddit post with this in there, and I have all of the Animorphs books available to me. And I have reread through 40 of them, I think. Not bad. I mean, it's simple writing, but they're not bad. They're not bad to read at all. Not as an adult. I thought they would be like crappy, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Can I have a collective moment of silence for my entire collection of Animorph books that my parents decided to dispose of in one of the moves that they made without even telling me that they were moving? So I couldn't even have asked them to save it for me.
I understand. I dreamt of my old comic books last night, actually, and they're all gone like an NSYNC song.
It was that sucks. I do like the instinct reference. I had all of the books except I think I did not purchase the final two because I was in denial that it was coming to an end.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
I know what happens,
mood.
but I did not. I chose actively because I would be whenever a new one would come out, I would be at the mall as soon as I could, because my high school was, well, this is before. No, my high school was near the mall, but I started reading them when I was like in middle school. So they may have gone into high school. I can't even remember, but I remember always going to the mall and wanting to.
They went into 2001. I was still in high school. So yeah.
So I would have been in high school as well. So I would have made my way to, I remember going to the mall, specifically staying at the bookstore just to be able to like see and like take a little sneak peek at the book until I had saved enough of my allowance to be able to buy it.
I legit cried in the last episode. Not the last episode, the last book. I cried. I was emotional because I read it literally in the library because that was my safe place for reading. Because my librarian was super dope. And I was just sitting in the little corner and she comes over to me. She's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No." Rachel, no.
Yeah. I should go back and read them because I haven't even, I know what happens.
You totally should. You totally should.
And I may or may not have started developing a D&D campaign based off of Animorphs and like.
Wait, you just gonna drop that? You just gonna drop that on us just like that?
I have a whole thing in my head.
I know what's happening with our games
and on paper. I started.
I'm down. Yeah. Anyway, this is the last episode of Cyberpunk. Tune in next week
when we start Animorphs.
Yeah.
Theta unfortunately had to leave us, folks, for those who noticed that Theta is not around. But you have us around. A wink.
But yeah, and so let's bring it back to Cyberpunk. Like right now, there's kind of been a little bit of a lull going on, and you know, there's a new fresh storm coming. The world keeps on churning, stuff like that. You guys still have a job. You guys have rent to pay. And I think that I'll just throw out some of the threads that are out there so far, right? So right now in our game, we have Mr. Kelly, the four-armed mysterious individual who is mysteriously controlling one of the PC's parents. And you guys refused a job offer from him. And in a fight that ensued, he was able to escape, and he is still running around doing things. We also mentioned earlier the net runners who are having their brain burns. This was also connected to the city manager and his whole project was bringing power to parts of the combat zone that were not getting enough power. So his whole thing was like making sure people have electricity and access to that. And that was somehow connected to what was going on with the net runners. We also have JR, the French-Canadian maple syrup baron, who didn't like the fact that you guys broke into his secret hideout in the desert. And I think you guys owe him a favor. If he calls you for a favor, you have to do it. And the last time you spoke to him, he lured you to a rooftop with the corpse of a young woman and gave you guys this ultimatum. So he's running around. Dre has to do some albums and a couple of shows for his sister. That was the deal for getting the backup from Turk and JD. And that would probably mean doing a show with Betty Brooklyn or with the rapper Sissy and some other rocker boys that I know of that you don't know about yet, but they're all fantastic. And also where we ended was, also we have Nara's grandmother's coming into town, who is a scientist who's been working on projects out in the Drift Nations, or in a Drift Nation. And you guys ended in Dustville, which is a nomad camp where the Last Dragons heroes clan is being blocked in by Petrochem, one of the corporation. And there might be something wrong with the land there. Something's going on that Petrochem wants to do something like that. And all the party is there except for Dre, who is still in Night City.
Because Dre is smart and wanted to stay the fuck away from y'all now.
I just have one question.
Dre is depressed and having to deal with his sister.
Are these other rocker boys, is this a Netrunner rocker boy multi-class, and are they called NSYNC, where the N stands for net running?
Oh my fucking god, why are you like this?
You know what? The answer now is yes. Yes, and I've already
always stay world building. Always stay world building.
Always stay world building.
And I already came up with like 4 ideas. I know all about them already. You're gonna love them, or you might. You know what? I'm not gonna say that, but
might love to hate them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess my question to you guys is, what kind of things have you, let's do like a GM report card kind of thing. Like, what have you enjoyed about it? And then also, like, where do you see your characters going, or guesses about the story, or anything like that? We could start with, let's start with Juice.
What have I enjoyed? Let's see. So mechanically speaking, I like that we're both trying to figure out how this net running thing works. I feel like it's definitely, it's like a game within a game. I worry sometimes that it detracts from the main action, since we're both kind of fumbling through it sometimes. But it's so different than from what everyone else is doing, like their specialties. But at the same time, I love it because it's super fun. Like, I can flavor what I'm doing in the net space. I don't have to follow logic. I mean, I know it's an TTRPG, so it's fantasy and sci-fi and like all this other stuff, but it's even like triply layered beyond that, where I can literally, it's like dream logic for me. What I want to see more of, and like where I want to see my character go, I'd love to explore the person that I went to go see during my downtime on the episode that I wasn't there for, and what implications that might have on like the things that I can wear and do, etc. And I'm looking forward to talking with Ivy more to see what our like boundaries and limits are around like this budding possible relationship between Maverick and Redacted, and just continuing to bond with the group, and what the group considers like how they express love, for lack of a better phrase, that might not look like what Redacted is used to. And just more I guess bringing in like how you tie in backstory stuff, because a lot of it is like, I know the bare bones skeleton of some of my own backstory stuff, but I'm like, here, I give you the gift of doing whatever you want with it, and I'm looking forward to being surprised by some of these things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will say that I do have plans for your for that background character specifically, and I also made up another character that you're going to meet very soon that is also connected to your background as well. So that's going to happen. I also really enjoyed the net running thing. I'm glad we got to do the one-on-one net running, because it is like you say, like it's like a whole nother game with its own sets of rules.
Even in the book, if you read it, it totally is.
Yeah, and I think they say it at some point as well. But I think, and then once we get a flow with it, I think it's really gonna work out once we understand what all the things do and stuff like that. And then I trying to think, like, there was that time where I feel like I've given the other characters always something else to do every time you're trying to net run. The last time it was the memorable time that's coming to me was in the desert when you guys were in JR's hideout and Hero and Nara were trying to get what was her name?
Yeah.
She-Wolf out of the cryo tank, and Maverick and Dre were racing against the oncoming cars and fighting them out in the desert. So I don't think we need to worry too much about it. I never feel it anyway while we're doing it, that like we're slowing it down too much.
Yeah, that specific example was one moment where I felt like I maybe in situations like that I could check in with you with like a message offline, like on Zoom or something, to kind of see how folks are feeling, because I felt like I was interrupting really awesome stuff that was going on. Like I was kind of cutting into that flow a little bit. But it's good to hear that maybe you didn't necessarily feel the same way.
I've never felt that way. No,
because that's partly why, like, if I felt more confident that that was not happening, I would have done a lot more with that. Like I wouldn't have just like shut off the system and like left these cryo frozen bodies like just go from being cryo frozen to like shut off, and now we have to try and revive them. I would have done a little bit more intentional stuff to make it a little more slow transition back to reality, so to speak. And I recognize that's my own insecurity as a player bleeding into the game.
Mm-hmm. I think you can always feel comfortable to send me a message anytime about how you're feeling and such like that. But I always try to like, I'm not trying to like, it's like Matt Mercer it, like, and then blah, 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 and something happens, but always trying to put like a cap on everyone's actions, So it's like in that game, in that scenario, at some point, Prince like kicks out the windshield of the car as Maverick is like firing at this pickup truck that's swerving towards them, hops on the hood of the car, jumps into the next one and stabs someone in the chest, like slashing them up from that car, and then stands triumphantly. Like that's a good, okay. And then we cut to, it's like, it's a good swift period to a thing. Have that description and boom. Okay, now Redacted's like...
Redacted's playing Pac-Man in this little cave.
I mean, you can, playing Pac-Man, but like also Redacted, like going up against, a demon program and like cannot overcome it, and then gets caught on fire, and like they're screaming so loudly that their windpipe crushes from the effort as Nara and Hero can only look on in fucking terror. That's pretty freaking good. So I
love that. Yeah, the fact that like all that shit happened to me in the net space where nobody else could like understand that's what was going on. Like, I know that my character complained a lot about almost dying, but me as a player, I was like, this is fucking gold. Like, I couldn't ask for anything better for character development, but also like, I feel like I actually did something, even if it means almost dying.
Yeah, props to you on giving us good like opportunities to like develop our characters, Mikey Mike. I think you've done a really excellent job at that. Like I don't know how much you've DM'd. I don't think you've DM'd that much for like or GM'd for parties, but I think you've done a wonderful job.
Oh, that's very good to hear. Yeah, no, I think before this game, I'd run maybe 4 games my whole life. So yeah, so that's very nice to hear. I think a lot of that too was playing Vampire. So I'd never played, when you suggested we play Vampire, I'd never even heard of Vampire the Masquerade. I never played Bloodlines or anything like that, so I didn't really know what it was. And I was really surprised, like watching people play it, and then when we started playing it, just how much of it is role playing, like how much of it is just all that. Really, it's a game that really pushes that to the forefront. So, and then seeing that we have a bunch of players who are very good at it, making sure to allow for that kind of space, because you can very easily make Cyberpunk very actiony and swift, and so it's nice to yeah, I learned that from playing Vampire for sure. So yeah, and was that all I had to say about your comment? Right, and sync is going to happen into your background characters, and net running is not that slow. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, what about you, Prince? Anything else you want to comment on that we've done? Ideas for guesses or ideas for what you want to see happen?
man, Dre is in such a complicated position. Like, if y'all been paying attention to this season, Dre has been slowly falling apart. Like, if you remember when Dre attacked the van, like that was like Dre just like losing his shit. Like, I don't think I think the more I dive into my character for this game, the more I'm like, I care about the people I'm with, but I could care less about this job, about the world, about anything else. The only reason I care is because of my people. And I think you give me excellent opportunities to like develop that throughout the season. Because Dre was always, from the very beginning, the unwitting member of this group. It's like, y'all want me to be a nurse, an EMT? Are you serious right now? Like, me, this guy. Yeah, and I think that has been wonderful. I think the development of my relationship with like Hero and Redacted, and even Maverick, who has every reason to hate Dre, because Dre definitely set Maverick up for the whoop whoop,
Yeah.
with the Russians. I think it's a very interesting place for Dre to be in, because I don't know how long he is willing to stay and put people in danger because of his selflessness. But also, he doesn't know how to leave because this is the first real group of friends that he has had. And that's a complex position to be in.
Not uncommon, but complex. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That job, it's like, I got this job, but I kind of like these people. All right.
Also, he's like, I want to bang my boss, but like maybe I should not do that. Only Dre.
Oh
Only
my
Dre.
God, I forgot you did that.
I also forgot about that too.
Only Dre.
You know, but that's the other thing, because like, if when we if we at some point we'll probably take a break from Trauma Team. Our party likes to play different games. We got a bunch of people who are capable of running their own games. I don't know, maybe they're Animorph based, I'm not sure. But when we take that break and then we come back, it could be Unemployment Chronicles, or the looking through the classifieds Chronicles.
Unemployment Chronicles.
Like, we could do something like that.
Oh my God.
You guys just meet up at a cafe every day to look through the want ads. Everyone's giving Dre shit. How'd you get us fired? You should never slept
I
with
was
her.
literally thinking we were just a bunch of people working at cubicles behind the desk at the unemployment office.
Oh. That would be that'd be entertaining to watch.
Chronicles, or no, the DMV Chronicles.
DMV Chronicles.
Oh my God. Perfect.
Just this. Just an episode of The Office.
Oh God.
For you, Mikey Mike, do you have, I know we're like, as Trauma Team is, I don't know, I don't want to call this a season because it's not technically been a season, but do you have ideas of what you'd like to do going forward? Not necessarily like storytelling or playing games. Like, we have a bunch of capable GMs in this group. What sounds interesting to you for future plans here?
Sure. Yeah. I one thing I will say is that, funnily enough, I have never played Cyberpunk Red, which I would like to do one day. I've been looking online, but there's a lot of like, whatever. But I think I should do like a one shot or something and play it, which would be something I would like to try. As far as like our game goes, I do have ideas. Like, there's a lot of things happening in the city, and so like when I first started getting ready for the first session, like beginning to run this, I watched so many things about how to run a game, how to write a game, how to use a module, how to do all these other things. And And one of the pieces of advice I liked was like, just have your world be living. Like, even if the players are not interacting with something, make sure that you know what's going on. So I enjoy that and feel like I do have ideas. And if you guys interact with a bunch of things, like I know what's happening and where they can go. And so that's part of being able also to allow the players to have freedom to do things. Because it's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, it'll muck me up a little bit, but that just means I have to do some extra writing because I already know that if you go in this direction, what's there or what's here, yada, yada. When it comes to other games and stuff like that, I love Call of Cthulhu, and I did one campaign of Star Trek Adventures, and I really loved it. But I'm also a super Trek nerd, so I just love Star Trek.
Sure.
So I would run and/or play a Star Trek game, and I would run and/or play a Call of Cthulhu game. And if I ran a Call of Cthulhu game, I've always only played it in the 20s, which I would be interested in doing. But I would also, if we did it in the 20s, I would want to do it in Harlem with the Harlem Unbound books.
Modern day game. Be bold.
But I would also
be beautiful.
Love to do a modern day game, for sure. So those are the two things that I would want to do. And I feel like other people have said they'd be interested in the Star Trek thing. So that might be the next thing up, but we'll have to bring it up at the next meeting or whatever.
If you were playing Cyberpunk with us and someone else was running it, what would you be playing? What kind of character?
Oh, sure. I think that my character would be, I would play a lawman character. And I think part of it would be, I like film noir, like Humphrey Bogart and all that kind of crap. So it would be something along those lines. I think the fun of it would be, the detectives that had that one case that they never could solve, and it kind of drove them mad, and they obsessed with it to the point where they couldn't do the job anymore, and then they are out in the streets trying to figure it out, always trying to get closer and closer to solving this puzzle. But also part of the fun could be like, running around with a group. I guess if it's in this group, then it'd be different. But I also imagine them like if you're running around with a bunch of edge runners who are doing crazy jobs, like, heist and stealing things. Like, is this person undercover? Who are they? What are they really all about? So I think it's just like that torture detective has that eye for that thing, but is like, I guess, chaotic good would be something I would really enjoy.
Nice.
And my second choice would also
be
a techie, just to be able to build stuff and make a bunch of things. Which is a mechanic that I think would be interesting. That's the mechanical side of me, but the story side of me is just Sam Spade, chain smoking, and gruff. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sure.
Interesting.
I think that's definitely a vibe doesn't currently exist in the group.
A gruff character?
Yeah. You know what? I take that back. I think this party is very gruff, but we're also just a bunch of chuckle fucks that makes everything kind of funny.
Not inaccurate at all. Like, not at all.
I think if we weren't constantly like dunking on ourselves or each other, this actually could be a very I feel like this could be a very pulp chronicle like story campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the interesting things that happens in our games is that we coalesce around the bullshit comedy that we come up with. Like, we really do.
Yeah.
One person throws it out there and everyone's like, yep, that's okay, let's do it.
Yeah. And I think it makes games interesting, because much like when I say, in Vampire, I run a dark game, but like, one of the things that I always think about is bringing levity to the situation. Like, just because you run a dark game doesn't mean people can't laugh and have fun. Like, I think that's a thing that is it's a trope that's very easy to fall into, that you can't have a fun game that also has dark elements in it. Like, it always has to be dark and spooky and shitty and depressing to the players. And I'm like, nah, We need shit to laugh at. We need, whale sharks and kaiju canes and shit. Like just shit that would be funny because that's what would happen in real life. Sometimes people deal with pain with humor, and so I want to keep that in mind when we run games too.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, that was uh, the
I
hobo
remember when
clown.
your character died in our fucking Ironsworn game.
Oh, that was surprisingly intense.
It was. And it wasn't like no one meant for it to happen, but it was like a very good moment with some levity to it. Like your character died, you went out like a G, and we pieced the fuck out of there.
I remember that. I remember like ending that session being like, damn, that was fucking like one of those moments. My character was, I forget what it was, but it was like some entity who's wore armor that was made up of like the souls of people that it had defeated. And then I was like slowly absorbed and sucked into the armor and couldn't get away. And then my face joined the chorus of screaming agony spirits on this god's armor. And then y'all just left. They're like, all right, that's can't do nothing.
It's time to nope the fuck out of here because I'm not trying to be part of that action.
Yeah, and then just having those beautiful moments and like playing with people that like we said earlier, will pick up on your vibe of what you're putting down. Will yes and will feel out the vibe of the story, and yeah. And I thought about in VTM Jason Newberry, who is just a vile, dark character, but like when he shows up, always gets the same reaction. Ah, this motherfucker. Like we all like have that levity just from the disdain that we have for this character, resulting from his darkness and even just his smugness, obviously. So it doesn't even have to be full out comedy is what I'm trying to say. It's like
it doesn't have to be comedy. It just needs to be other things that aren't just that same dark, depressing bit, because it's a very easy trope to fall into. Because Night City can really be that. If you read the history of Night City, it could really just be like a really fucking sad place to be. And it could always be like that. And it's a very easy thing for a storyteller, GM, whatever, to fall into. And I'm glad you didn't.
No, and I think that was part of why I did what's it called? Kaylee's birthday party. Which was the trauma team had their boss, Kaylee, was like, will you plan my birthday party? So they did Kaylee's they had to plan Kaylee's birthday party for her, which meant getting a cake, finding a venue, getting the booze, getting the drugs. So I thought that was like a good levity thing, and I threw stuff in like the clown stealing the stuffed animal, like nothing you went to that building and you met a bunch of, the rocker boy, whatever his name is, and the abuelita who lives there with her pets, so it's like having that kind of little bit of levity in there.
Redacted with their flash dance moment as the sprinklers went off.
That's right.
And speaking of levity in this dark setting, that's part of the reason why as a player I've made some comments about Dre specifically and the Sexorcist, because I think that's the player blending into the story or to our game, because like the way that you describe the Sexorcist and it's like very light up and like bright, this big broadsword that's like luminescent and all this stuff with LED lights, like for me as a person, as the player, it reminds me a lot of the things that I've made comments about, like Chuck E. Cheese and like LA Gear shoes and shit like that, because that, like, for me, those things were, so I didn't grow up with Chuck E. Cheese or Discovery Zone or anything like that in Puerto Rico. I grew up in like the rural outskirts. I didn't have access to many of those things except for what I saw on cable. And for LA Gear light up shoes, like that was like a big status symbol for people that had money that my family didn't have growing up. And so to be in a game with a character that has things that remind me of that, I'm like, I play Redacted in a sense of like, oh, that's part of why Redacted is like so drawn to Dre, because I'm drawn to like stuff like that. I was like, oh, like that's emulating things that I think my inner child is very much like still in awe about.
Welcome back, Theta.
Hey,
Hello.
Theta.
Things happened. Other thing ended up pseudo happening. Not really. You had to reschedule. So I'm back. So I had to
Welcome back.
emerge out of somewhere.
And
Out of
now
hell. I
bring
emerged
you
out of
back
hell.
from the shadows.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about things that we've enjoyed so far, and guesses or hopes for the future of the campaign. Where do you see it going, or where would you like to go? And we were also talking about having levity in a dark setting like VTA.
I think we bring so much levity because none of us can take shit seriously half the time.
We're called chuckle fucks. We're changing it from rolling these 20s to chuckle fucks.
Honest to God, like, you know, I don't know, this is spilling from this game to Vampire, but like y'all had like I had so much dark shit in Vampire that y'all just made me throw the fuck out the window. Like it made no sense to continue running that game with y'all being the way y'all were.
Listen, you contribute. I'm not in the
I'm not saying I don't contribute to it, but it was just like
you contribute to it here though, very obviously.
Oh yeah, I am that. I should have known. That's the best way I can put it. I should have known this is going to happen because these are the vibes that I put out.
Listen, Prince, I'm going to ask you again. Have you gone back to hear yourself speak as Bubby?
As Bubby? No, I didn't because I went to a movie the other day. Now I might listen to this.
What movie?
So Bubby is an NPC.
Nightmare Alley.
I don't even know NPC, like NPF, NP flesh crafted thing from this game, which is an amalgamation of other creatures that have been morphed together somehow.
Okay.
And Prince used a voice modulator.
Oh, beautiful.
To disguise their voice, which is the most creepily adorable, beautiful thing ever. Which was like we were
speaking
all
of levity, we all went like, whoa.
I mean, it literally it was like a Pokemon. It was literally a Pokemon. That's
wow. But like Pokemon are low-key kind of horrific.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
it's a children's
Have
game.
you read the Pokemon like Pokédex entries?
Yeah,
there's some fucking terrifying ones in
Absolutely.
there.
A not insignificant amount of the ghost type Pokemon are just the like spirits of dead Victorian children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. They're absolutely terrifying.
That's real. If Pokemon were real, that's where they would come from.
What was this?
Listen, if Pokemon were real, this would be a hell world, like beyond what we have imagined.
Oh yeah.
Because imagine the government with Pokemon. Like if they could fucking get a Dragonite to come at you, it'd be fucking curtains.
Oh, was it like that? This might be out of folks' wheelhouse. Was it the recent video with Dragonites? Was it like the sweetest and nerdiest 6'7" bottom that you've ever met? I don't know that the law enforcement would necessarily want, you know what I mean?
Accurate. No, that's so damn. Look at Dragonite's face. You're like, yup, I can see it. I can see it.
But also deadly. You know what I mean? Like it's you could very easily play
you
like
tail whipped and hyper beams.
I wonder what like
good cop, bad cop
would look like. I wonder what space stuff would look like with Pokemon around, because Pokemon are not particularly like spacey.
I know.
Unless you're talking about
There's some like legendaries that are like, and like from wow, we really took a big tangent.
We're all over the second
Sun and Moon, Lunala. Anyway, Ultra Beasts. Moving on.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that I'm not a big I used to be, you know, like when Red and stuff first came out, I was all about the Pokies. But one of my things now is like I like the realistic drawings of Pokemon. I don't know why I enjoyed that.
Those are my favorite things because they're nightmare fuel.
They're scary.
God.
They're scary.
Yeah.
But I like the way it's like if
That's
next time they make a
awesome.
movie, Pikachu doesn't need to be a detective. He just needs to really look like a rabbit. You know, like I think that would be. You'd get
I
me
want
in
those as like a coffee table book.
You see?
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the big bucks. Okay, I like this. Animorph the game and
So
real Pokemon coffee book.
I mean, there may or may not also be like some Pokemon inspired stuff in there too. But
I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, let's bring it back to Cyberpunk. Theta, what's something you've enjoyed and what's something you
That's it?
envision / want from our Trauma Team Chronicle campaign?
Stupidity of decision making, and I think it'd be fun to see more places outside of Night City to some extent, or since we know Night City was built on top of another city. Listen, I like weird old things, so I don't know. Night City has a new sewer system. I was about to say newer system. I was like, no, sewer system. Night City has a sewer system. Theoretically, we could find ruins of the old Night City down there. That would be kind of fun.
I will tell you that might be surprising, but I did create some people who are in the sewers. I know who the sewer people are.
Yes!
In our Night City. I will give that.
Are there any crocodiles?
I don't know about. You're gonna have to find that out on your own. You get one spoiler. I've done a few spoilers, I think, tonight, but that's one. Yeah, I
what
do.
Else?
And actually, they were inspired by a Star Trek Voyager episode. So
Hold up. Would you call them Knights Feratu?
Oh no!
I was gonna say there's no more crocodiles because Salvador ate them.
I'm sorry.
God.
That was terrible.
No, it's fine. It's good.
I guess what else? There was another thought. Oh yeah, I don't think we've seen a lot, in my opinion, of the corpos and the nice parts of Night City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. Sorry, have to get going soon. Again, because I've been summoned for food. But definitely, I'll probably just mute myself. But also, I'd like to see more of that nice part of Night City and the corpos and their fucking drama, because I don't think we've seen a lot of them. And I think they are weird as fuck and fascinating because of that. I want to see what happens if I don't know, stand on a table in a lobby of a corporation.
Okay, I like that.
Do I get arrested? Who knows?
Arrested, if you're lucky.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
almost
outcome.
What was it? What's the role? Exec?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
sort of like a
Yeah.
I almost made an exec character.
Legit. Corpo was almost my role. I was so close to running a Corpo.
I was either going to play a Corpo or a medic, and then they were like, medic, because this is Trauma Team, and that would be probably a little bit more helpful. So I ended up being a medic.
Oh my god! Imagine we were a party of all the corpos.
Well, I'll throw this out there too, because I think that would be pretty fun. You know, we've talked a lot about like, you know, where, you know, we could run Trauma Team forever and ever and ever, or we could like, you know, come to a conclusion with Trauma Team, keep Cyberpunk going, and do an all corporate espionage game in Night City or in the Cyberpunk world. That sounds like fun too. Or fuck it, maybe we don't end it. Maybe you guys for some reason get promoted or some shit. We could like somehow get there.
I mean, you could totally turn this into a political campaign. Like, it's not that much of a stretch in Cyberpunk world, because I mean, if you've seen some of the stuff in Cyberpunk 2077, the corporate shit that you could jump into in that game. Woo.
Give me an example. Which one? Like the people with the stuff in their house?
The couple that you hook up with? Yeah.
That shit was better than the main story.
It was. It was so fucking good.
I was like, I want more of that. I want to know where the rest of this goes.
More of this whole action. I have screenshots with them because I'm like, is this like a like, are they drawing me into like a weird threesome? Because like, I mean, they're pretty. I could be about it, but like,
they were pretty actually. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was That was really good.
Wasn't that an interesting storyline to go into? And the corporate like sort of things for the guy and the woman and the stuff and I'm trying not to spoil the game for y'all, but like Yeah.
There's only like 5 unique side missions in the whole game, so I know exactly which one you're talking about. Sorry, I'm talking shit on Cyberpunk 2077. If you enjoyed it, that's fine. I
I
obviously
enjoyed
it
it because I played a couple hundred hours into it, but also I didn't enjoy a lot of it too.
Yeah. But I will say that I don't know if Theta can hear, but the stuff that's happening in the desert, that was me like starting to incorporate some of the other corporations too. So like you're gonna meet Petrochem, which is the people who have the blockade on the Last Dragon's camp and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got ideas for start bringing them in, but I'm gonna pull that in more because I also like this idea. Hell yeah. But yeah, we're getting close to 10, so I don't know. Maybe we should start thinking about wrapping. Any last thoughts and stuff like that?
Sure. We want to go in order or something here? Like how we want to do this?
Yeah, I was trying to decide how I wanted to do it. I just said it, and then I was like, oh, okay. That's how
This is kind of your show.
Thank you very much. In the beginning, no. So yeah, let's start with you. How about that?
With me, what are we asking me?
I don't know, just whatever last thoughts, and I'll start it then. You know, I'm enjoying Cyberpunk. I think it's a good system. I love the fast paced. I love the world. I love the lore. And I also enjoy that sometimes it even seems to hit close to home, you know, to our time now. And so it feels like a really fun place to explore different themes. Yeah, just to fucking bug out and play with you guys. So I am very much enjoying it and wish that I had gotten my life together and gone to PAX to meet Mike Pondsmith and tell him to his face that
I told him it was super dope on behalf of our whole team. I totally did.
Is he tall? Is he like 8 feet tall, this guy?
No, he's not. Well, he's about my height, a little shorter. Well, you've seen how tall I am. I was about to say, like, I'm just under 6 feet. He's he's about my height.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's about it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll pick it up again in the next year, and I'm very grateful to have players like y'all too. That's all.
Same. As I get to storytell for the other half of like what we're doing here over on Rolling These 20s, I am always excited to get to play with y'all, to talk to y'all. I enjoy what we do here, and I'm grateful that we have gotten to discover each other through the glories of the interwebs, even through a shittier time in the world. I think it's really interesting that we came across each other, Mikey Mike, on Reddit of all places.
That's right.
And ended up here together and playing for the last better part of almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to what happens in Cyberpunk. I guess spoilerish sort of things happening. I will not be here for super long because Prince here has to start going to work. But I want to give Dre a proper outro. So I'm not going yet. So don't think I'm just bouncing out of here or something like that. But there's going to be some very interesting things happening. And I imagine that the Rolling These 20s crew will expand here in the future as well. So keep a lookout for that.
That's right. Juice.
Oh, hello. Thank you for these gift subs.
Thank you, Sphinx. I appreciate that.
I don't have much more to say than what's already kind of been said. Lots of fun. Looking forward to whatever may come, whether it is a continuation of this or an all corporate or something else, or a twist on the world. Because I think, as you said, like it was a nice. I think there were some resolutions that the last episode kind of lent itself towards, with, you know, like repairing or creating or identifying, like, a lot of possibility. The siblings, Maverick and Redacted, hero reconciling, like encountering their parents again, but not really. Nara knowing that their grandmother is on the horizon somewhere soon. Like there are a lot of, it was a very well crafted, yeah, because our show is scripted. Like opportunities for all of our characters to like, put a pin in some things, but like open new chapters or continue. Like there's so much room for everyone to continue. It's not the end for anyone, and that I felt like that felt good. So whatever lies ahead, it's going to be very worth it.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything that you've done in putting it together and making this happen for us, that we can kind of play in your sandbox.
Oh,
absolutely. 100%.
Oh, play in your sandbox. I think that's going to be one of Betty Brooklyn's songs.
Oh my God. Why are you like this?
Your sandbox.
No, that's like the lead single from NetSync's debut album.
NetSync.
Jeez Louise. This is the process. This is how it happens. This is what the game looks like.
Is that wait, are we am I hearing that it's a Netrunner Rocker Boy Corpo triple multi-class campaign coming up?
Oh
I mean,
God.
I just got it written down here. You keep adding it. I'll put it here. But I already know two things about them. One is that they rock. Yeah, and I would say that for people who are checking it out or whoever checked this out, maybe you're watching it on YouTube right now, but I think all of the games are on YouTube, right? All of our past sessions are up.
Yes.
Cyberpunk?
Yeah, for everything Cyberpunk should be up on YouTube. For Vampire the Masquerade, season 2 should almost all be there. Nothing season 1 really survived. I apologize for that, but it was in our early days of streaming. Yeah. And we weren't Twitch affiliates yet, so shit didn't last as long. So some shit got lost. But don't worry. Next season we'll sort of fix some things. Just say it like that.
Yeah. And so I say we should start wrapping it. I don't know. Do we need to? We're gonna raid somebody.
Theta, are you around? You want to give your final thoughts? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and give some love to Theta and Ivy and Fuzzy Slippers, Liz, and to Lonzo and to Fair and everybody. Con mucho amor.
Yeah. Them the homies. Y'all should go say what up. All right. So let's go pop into the homie Critical Bard. Critical Bard is playing some
we got Vancouver by Night. They're doing something.
Are Vancouver by Nights online now? Oh, they're doing their Christmas special game. Yeah. Let's go hop on to the fam over at Vancouver by Night. They're doing a Wreck the Halls holiday one shot.
One shite.
Oh my God.
Oh.
You chuckle fuck.
Well, I was saying extra. Like,
you should never say that to me, Juice.
Words got mixed up. Anyway, we're gonna go rate Vancouver by Night. They're doing a one shot. They're raising money for Extra Life. We're gonna go over there and say what up, and we're gonna roll out. Thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight. And yeah, I'll see y'all over on Vancouver by Nights for next season of Delve into Darkness. By the way, it's gonna be very, very interesting.
Very, very spooky.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say spooky, man. That was a perfect opportunity.
Spooky isn't the right word.
Spooky is always the right word. If
it's
not the right word, then you make it the fucking right word.
Oh my God. Y'all are so judgmental. Oh my God. No.
Yes, I'm judgmental.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mikey Mike. Nice to meet you.
Anyway,
Mikey Mike.
I'm Prince, aka Doubles of Dice. You can find me at Doubles of Dice on the interwebs. This holiday season, I'll be shutting most shit down. But if you haven't seen it already, my game for Wabi on the Witchlight, I have a whole fucking Twitter thread where I am doing a recruitment. So if you're interested in playing Wabi on Witchlight on Sunday at either 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern time, do apply for my game. It's going to be dope. I'm going to be running it, and my wife, the Red Justice, or RK Justice Rights on Twitter, is going to be one of my players. That's all.
Yeah. Should we, Thady, want to do a sign
Quick
out?
outros,
Sign off?
because if you don't do it quick, this Ray's gonna go off. No, I'm gonna
Oh,
end it
shit.
right
Oh, yeah.
now. No,
Hi,
just go
I'm
ahead and sign
Theta.
off.
Hi, I'm Thady. You can find me at One Shitty Bird, mostly on Twitter, sometimes on Instagram, though I don't use my fucking Instagram. And I do random fucking things around the internet. Random fucking things.
Like make sweaters that people want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
make
really want.
sweaters. If you want a sweater, I can make you a sweater. You have to pay though. Sorry. Juice, you go.
Don't apologize.
Yeah,
I'm a
business.
Juice, no pronouns, just Juice. I play Redacted in Cyberpunk on our Saturday game Vampire the Masquerade. If you are watching this on YouTube and catch previous episodes, I have played Salvador Suarez, our Gangrel. I will, starting in either January or February, be playing in a campaign over on the Greater Restoration channel with the GR crew with Fairbear from Rolling These 20s as well. And you can find me on Twitter at the Juice TM.
Mike.
And I am Mikey Mike, and I play old-timey music and talk about Black people under my alter ego, Hubby Jenkins. And I will be running around at some point next year. You can find out at my website where I'll be playing some music and coming near you. And I have to start reading these start reading these Choose Your Own Adventure books again, because people keep bugging me about it, and my parents are they're the biggest ones. So you can go on my Facebook and find out about me reading Choose Your Own Adventure books and then playing blues music and drinking whiskey. And then, of course, Saturday nights you can find me. I was Delroy Lindo, former Baron of South Philly, who went out in a bubbly blaze of glory. I like to imagine the end, just like just one bubble.
Actually, both of our characters kind of basically ended at the same place, but in different times.
Yep.
Whoa.
Now
my mind is also blown. So,
All right. So imagine
Here we
we see
go.
some interesting things next season. Anyway, with that, we are out. We'll see y'all next year. Have a happy holiday and wish me a happy birthday, because my birthday on fucking Sunday. Yeah, my birthday is day after
Happy
Christmas.
birthday!
It's shitty. You don't want this as a birthday.
Happy birthday.
And visit my Amazon wish list and buy me shit. No, you don't really have to do that. I'm just saying stuff. But if you do want to buy me shit on my Amazon wish list, I won't fault you for it because I need shit. Anyway, I'm out. We'll see you over at Vancouver by night. It's a Rolling Deez Raids. Peace, love, and have a happy holiday. Be safe. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Get that booster. And we'll see y'all soon.
Don't make stupid fucking choices.
Whoa. Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
that. Get aggressive. Don't make stupid fucking choices.
Make some good choices already.
Make good choices. Don't go to randomly large parties without a face mask. That would be a stupid fucking choice, by the way.
And we out.
Love you. Bye.
Peace.
And on that note.